Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing great this evening or wherever you may be for this Friday evening. So, for this discussion, we are going to be discussing chapters 8 through 11. So, chapter 8 is citizenship, chapter 9 is self defense, chapter 10 is punishment, and chapter 11 is inheritance. Um, it took me a minute to get through these chapters. They were very, very difficult to read um, because these are still ongoing issues. And for these four chapters, it's talking about, um, you know, early in the 1800s into like the 1980s. And we are in the year of 2023. And we are still fighting for a lot of things, like our rights, you know? Um, so let's go ahead and get started with citizenship, which is chapter 8. Hold on, let me find it. I've been tabbing this book up as I've been reading it. There's a lot to take in. I'm sorry about the loud noise. I think somebody's racing on the street. But anyways, let me try to find it. But how's everyone doing, by the way? I always want to make sure everybody's doing good. Everyone had a great day. Let me see. Yeah, they were. Hey, Ulysses, how are you? So, we're going to start with citizenship, which it's sad to say, back then, like the Declaration of Independence was written and it was signed. But I think we may all know that, hey, Bree, I think we all know that the Declaration of Independence was not written for us. It was not written for Black people in America, because they still didn't even consider us people. Let's see. Hey, Bree. Hope you're doing okay. Doing well. Looking forward to this holiday weekend. Yes, me too. Hold on, let me drink this tea. Me too. Even though I'm working tomorrow, but it's all good. It's all good. Um, but for citizenship, I find it very. It's sad. And even with this first one, it talks about when Frederick Douglass and what he had said, which I'm on page 221. It says his message was unequivocal. Black Americans were by birth American citizens, but the principles of the Declaration of Independence, we are American citizens. Within the meaning of the United States Constitution, we are American citizens. By the facts of history and the admissions of American statesmen, we are American citizens. But the hardships and trials endured, by the courage and fidelity displayed by our ancestors in defending the liberties and in achieving the independence of our land, we are American citizens. But just because Frederick Douglass made the statement, that did not necessarily mean like, oh, all the Black people in America are now declared citizens. That was not the case. Um, and a lot of Black Americans have been exploring citizenship, and we still, they consider us as Americans, but then again, not really, because some of these laws and everything has not been, and has not been, and currently hasn't been written strictly for us. We are not protected. The things that we are supposed to have, we never received. Things that we should be getting, we're not getting. Let me see. I didn't know we had to fight to just be considered citizens. It just took that for granted, silly rabbit. Yeah, I I agree. I mean, they didn't even consider us people, so it doesn't surprise me why we had to fight to become citizens. And like I've been tabbing it up, I've been writing it, I've been highlighting everything. Like even with this one on page 225, it says lawmakers again and again fumble when called upon to settle the question of Black citizenship, leaving the country's elite politicians, merchants, lawyers, and philanthropists to devise their own approach. Their most popular solution was known as colonization, a plan to remove Black Americans from the United States. The American Colonization Society, or ACS, founded in 1816, committed to preserving the United States as a white man's country by ensuring that Black Americans would not become citizens. And I've asked myself like questions like, what if my family, my ancestors, decided to leave the United States? Would my life be better? You know, I know like for my family in particular, based off of my grandfather, from what he remembers when he lived in Georgia, they stayed because they had land that was promised to them, and then later on it was taken away. And recently we only got a little bit of the land back, but we're still fighting for the rest, from what my grandfather had told me. And when the last time I went to Georgia for our family reunion. So let me see. And we had been here for 200 years by the time Douglas said that. Yes, you're correct. True. I was actually mind blown by the fact that it didn't matter that folks were born here. This was new to me. This country was not founded by smart people. Oh, that is so true. So true. They were not smart at all, whatsoever. Some of the stuff that they had written down as laws and stuff just didn't add up. Math ain't mathin'. And just for us fighting citizenship, I don't know. It's just like we constantly have to put up the great fight. And it's sad because, well, you see what's happening now. We're still trying to put up a great fight. We're still, I know California have like, I don't know if it's been passed or not, where, Black Americans in California who had ancestors who were enslaved would get reparations. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how they're delegating that on how many families get this. I don't know. And I don't know if many other states will follow suit. I don't see that happening. Like even in this, like, sorry y'all, we're gonna be probably jumping from chapter to chapter. I ain't gonna lie, because all this comes together as a whole. Of the, let's see, let me see. Like, shoot, if we can't even get citizenship, or they don't consider us citizens, like we can't even really vote either. And they're still making it to this day very hard and impossible for us to vote, by just making things difficult, to even get to the place where you're supposed to vote. So they're trying to make put new things in place, set in stone in law, to prevent people from voting. And then on top of that, we also deal with the fact of not having security and protection of ourselves, which this is chapter, let me go back. This is on chapter 9 for self-defense. The laws that they made, like even with the laws they have now, stand your ground, was not written for us. Like, and it just blows my mind. Like it gave an example. Let's see. Like not an example. It says Second Amendment was motivated in large part by a need for the new federal government to assure white people in the South that they would be able to defend themselves against Black people. And even says, stand your ground laws, however, were designed to keep gun owners who shot someone from having to face criminal charges and to ensure that their actions were presumed legally justifiable as the starting point for any investigation. But like I said, this particular law, the stand your ground law, was not written for us. It even gives like an example on the next page of 252 when it brings up Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman. And I felt it as I was reading this. Like, it made me sad. I was in college when this happened. And this just hurt me. Like, this book has been rough, y'all. I had to put the book down a couple times because it really boggles my mind how this country thinks it's okay. And then on top of that, we see Florida just banning books left and right and trying to erase Black history, which is also American history. And they want people to be ignorant of this. Like, I know this book got to be banned. I know for a fact it is. And then Ron has the audacity to run for president, which we knew that was going to happen, but still. And that is dangerous to me. That is dangerous. He is a dangerous man. And for him having the power to do what he has already done, it blows my mind. I didn't know about the ACS either. I thought we had come up with the idea of going back to Africa. Yes, Marcus Garvey. Yes, there was a few people who felt like we should have went back. Who was it? I think it was Marcus Garvey and a few others that some said we should stay because this is where we were born. This is where we were raised. This is the only land we know of. And then there were others who felt like, well, this land does not accept us. We should start anew where we have our own stuff. We don't have to keep fighting the great fight. We don't have to keep losing our lives. So I can see, as I'm older, I can see the two perspectives. And like, yes, you want to stay in the US, but are you willing to lose a few people? Because that's what it came down to. That's what it came down to. Like, even if you wanted to vote, they would threaten you, they will lynch you just for walking up to vote. This is your land. I'm in Cali. We have a task force that said we should get reparations. Don't think we passed the law to actually do it. Okay, so it's still being processed to possibly be coming to pass, hopefully. I really do hope that it passes because maybe one day other states will follow suit. But I live in a red state, so I don't even see that being a thing here. But even like I said, it was hard for us to even become citizens. And then when we become citizens, we can't vote. And on top of that, we cannot protect ourselves, which is why we had the Black Panthers, because they were the only people that were willing to protect us in the Black community. And like I said, when I mentioned Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, that just broke my heart. Like it says here on 252 says, but when interracial violence does occur, these laws can end up protecting white people, but leaving Black people vulnerable to white violence. It says you don't have to look any further than the infamous case of George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. And then it says in 2012 in Sanford, Florida, Zimmerman, a 28-year-old white Hispanic man, called 911 and he stalked Martin, a Black teenager, through a gated community. Zimmerman, who was carrying a loaded 9mm pistol, had previously made repeated calls to 911 about Black men in the neighborhood. He ignored the instructions from the 911 operator not to follow the teen, claiming that Martin looked suspicious, that his type always gets away. And I know some of us have heard that recording when this happened. It says he ultimately put a bullet in Martin's chest. Although Zimmerman was the one with the gun and Martin was unarmed, the trial judge framed the jury's instructions around the tenets of stand your ground. Zimmerman could use deadly force if the disparities in the physical compatibilities between him and Martin caused the gunman to fear for his life. The jury ruled that the killer had acted in self-defense. But how could it be self-defense when he was the one that attacked Martin? Like Trayvon, sorry, I don't know why I said Martin. Trayvon Martin. Like, how was that self-defense? Like it says, you stalked Trayvon, but yet you get to say it was self-defense, and that's why you shot him? And it even says the enforcement of self-defense laws varies widely according to race. So we can't defend ourselves. They're already trying to take away our rights as far as voting is concerned. And then on top of that, there is this big wealth gap, a huge wealth gap. Agree. Very dangerous, and not just him. Yes, not just him. In the chapters before these documented that Lincoln has suggested going back to Africa. Yes, he did. Lincoln wasn't he wasn't for us. This was like, since he was a president, this was his type of propaganda. You know, he, abolished slavery only for his own presidency. Like, presidents will say or do whatever to win people over. And that's what he had did. It not necessarily said that he liked black people or anything like that, but he felt like, okay, if I do this, I can get this much support. Some people felt like Lincoln was just the man for us. No, he was not. He was not. Our people were so brave. Oh, I thought it was passed a few weeks ago. Was it passed, or was it just like, I don't know. I have to research it. I thought it was passed, but I could be completely wrong. Maybe it was passed for a certain part, but then it has to move on to the next phase, probably. Hello, everyone. Hey, Jira. I don't know how you can claim self-defense when you start the fight. Right. You can't claim self-defense when you started the fight to begin with, which is why sorry, I'm not trying to cuss, but it just pisses me off. Zimmerman should be behind bars right now. Point blank, period. Good evening. I'm still reading the chapters, but I had to take a break because I understand. I had to take a couple breaks myself because it really just pisses me off. I've just passed that part that Brandy is reading. I'm still here to support. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just reading this. My blood boils. Exactly. Black folks always being used by politicians. Right. Always. Always. Let me check. Okay, Lucy's. Hey, Reed. Trayvon broke my heart. The night Trayvon was killed, my son spent the night over at one of his best friend's house. He walked by himself wearing a hoodie to the store in this coffee. I'm sorry, Jira. I'm so sorry. This country's so stupid to me. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And like, even it says here, since the nation's founding, our legal and political architecture has privileged the safety and self-defense of white people over that of black people. As a consequence, the right to self-defense, so quintessential to American identity, has been experienced unequally by black and white people. White people continue to use self-defense laws to protect themselves from perceived harm from African Americans. Black people often cannot use self-defense to protect themselves from actual harm by white people. The results have been devastating. It has been devastating. It's still happening to this very day, and nothing hasn't happened. Nothing has happened. Then you randomly, like we discussed this last time we had our discussion the last few chapters, how we can't, if we're just in a park somewhere and taking pictures, next thing you know, a white woman comes up and starts claiming that she feels threatened and she doesn't feel safe. Well, we're not even doing anything. Like, I don't understand. And so, like, my husband, he feels like I should have a gun, which sometimes I feel I should, and then sometimes I hesitate because let's say I am trying to protect if I'm using it, I am protecting my family. And next thing you know, I'm the one being arrested. Right? That's how, I'm scared because I feel like no matter what, it's not going to be fair. I'm going to be the bad person. I'm going to be that person, even though I'm protecting my own. I'm protecting my family. I can't say it was self-defense, can I? Because these laws don't pertain to me. Do you plan on watching the show or movie, whichever they're making? Yeah. So I watched the first two episodes on Hulu. I watched the first one was Democracy, and I watched Race. I still need to watch Music, Capitalism, Fear, and Justice. So those are the next episodes that I need to watch, but I am watching them. And even watching them, it just makes me sick. I flipped out and told his friend's mother that he is never to walk through the neighborhood by himself. Yeah, for sure. I know you flipped out. Very stupid, right, Brie? We live in a stupid country with stupid people who's our government. I don't even know how they got these roles. Like, I don't know. And some of the people that are in our government, they're like, I don't even know. I feel like they should even be in the government there should be a certain amount of time. Like, you can't be in there just to be in there. Like, after a few years or whatever, like the president, you got to move on. You got to go. They've been there forever. I feel like the oldest person is like maybe 80 something or 90 something. I could be wrong, but I'm like, oh, no wonder this country's still stuck. Where, I mean, there's been progress. I'm not going to say there hasn't, but it's still not enough. Okay, they approved the calculations, and now there will be a hearing on June 29th to show the task force findings. The recommendations are due July 1st. Okay, so it's really soon. Okay, thank you, Lisies. Thank you. To this day, I always say Trayvon is my son in spirit. I will never not hurt for the loss of this young man. Nothing was done. Right, and Zimmerman was able to go home and be with his family the next day, right? Thank you, Lisies. I think they're recommending millions of dollars, so I think that part is going to be hard. I think now for the reparations, I think they're basing off of the data, which it says, like, this is a good conversation to have, like, because it goes into, like, the other chapter that we were discussing tonight is inheritance. And it gives an example of a Black man and how him and his wife started their own family business. It was Elmore and Bertha May. They started their own business. They started from selling ice cream after church to have their own selling gas, and all. Like, they started from the ground up with their business. And then, let me say, I had underlined this. It said he always preached to his children that getting a good education and achieving financial independence were the only ways Black folks would ever experience any kind of freedom. And that was said by Elmore to his children. And then, let me see. And then it says this, which I got so pissed. I had to, like, this is when I really stopped and, like, had to think of, like, the wealth gap and why it's still the way it is. It says, not long after that portrait was taken, which was this portrait. This is Elmore and his wife. If you don't have the book right here, this is the portrait. And it says, not long after that portrait was taken, the Boilings and every Black man, woman, and child in the county would learn the cost of daring to be too successful and too free. I even wrote a note. I said, whenever Black people become successful, white people become jealous and destroy everything to keep Black people in their so-called place. Yes, I had written that at the bottom right here. Because it's true. You look at the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, in Greenwood. They destroyed it. They burned it down to the ground. They had a freaking plane drop a bomb on a church with people inside. And yet, from just that hurt alone, they have not received not one penny, not one dime, nothing. They haven't even gotten that land back that was taken. This is the problem that I'm having. Like, we want reparations, but then also we want the land. They want their land back that was taken from them. And that's when, let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Yes. All right. So we talked about land. We talked about how when Lincoln had abolished slavery and all this. So it says, let's go. It says, in January 1865, after meeting with a group of Black ministers, General William Sherman issued an order reallocating hundreds of thousands of acres of white-owned land along the coast of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina for settlement by Black families in 40-acre plots. He also said the Army would give these families a mule, hence the phrase 40 acres and a mule. which reverberated across the South. But after Lincoln was assassinated, okay, so Lincoln had made this a thing where you get 40 acres and a mule, but he was assassinated. And then you have the jackass Andrew Johnson come into play. And it says, but after Lincoln was assassinated in April 1865, his vice president, Andrew Johnson, a Democrat and a former senator from Tennessee, assumed the presidency, and these policies began to change. The following year, Johnson declared, "This is a country for white men, and by God," how dare they use God in this, "as long as I am president, it shall be a government for white men. Over the next decade, excuse me, I'm so bad I can't talk. Over the next decade, the nascent gains of Reconstruction era would gradually be undone." And it says, from the beginning of his presidency, Johnson insisted that land seized from Confederates must be returned to its former owners, effectively undoing Sherman's order and returning to former enslavers the land that had been seized from them as punishment for taking up arms against the nation. Some 40,000 Black families had settled on confiscated Sherman land. In some cases, federal troops evicted them by force. And others, Black people fought off, returning white people with guns. According to some accounts, about 2,000 Black landowners held on to the land they'd been given after the war, but the majority stayed on land they no longer owned and worked as sharecroppers. So all that was taken. And I'm thinking to myself, in perspective, what if that could be a thing again? I know that wouldn't happen. What if we had a president? Just like a scenario. If we had a president and he or she looked into this, and I know they wouldn't do this, but this is hypothetical. And they looked into this, looked into history, and felt like maybe we should reenact the 40 acres and a mule. Of course, times are different, so it wouldn't be a mule per se. It might be something else to substitute it. Do you think that would, I don't, do you think that would even be a possibility? Possibly not. But sometimes I think in my head, like if, like these, like the president we have now, he's for the people and, you know, Black people, supposedly. That's what he said, he states, or whatever. I feel like this should be an action, you know, something like that. I mean, with all the land that was lost, even with Tulsa, even with Rosewood, that land should be returned. And there should be some money involved as well. Because Black Wall Street, those were businesses, family businesses, where they lost family, they lost their homes, and they lost their businesses. So I feel like definitely something has to give. I'm definitely getting one this year. Yeah. It's not meant to be easy. It is their punishment for enslaving people and keeping their descendants from true equality. I watched all but the last episode. I like it. Okay. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the comments. Davies, millions is still a small price to pay. Yeah. They owe us so much, but when it's time to find the money, everyone is broke. That's so true. That's so true. Like, oh, we don't got no money. Like, y'all can't print money. If it's not for y'all's benefit, y'all broke, right? They just make sure Black people in the U.S. stay in their place. I mean, even look at Jackson, Mississippi, and what they're doing. They're trying to pretty much start up Jim Crow again. Now in 2023, them Americans elected them candidates. Join a gun range. You will learn how to break down and clean your gun. You will also learn gun safety. It was drilled to never point a gun at someone unless I have the intention to kill them. Okay, gotcha. I had that happen to me when my husband and I were dating. We were in a park in Brooklyn, New York, and this white guy called the cops on us. We were just minding our own business. I guess he felt threatened. Right. We can't even walk down the street without somebody saying like, oh, we feel threatened. They were attacking me. This was in the 90s. This is troubling. The average inheritance left to white families is 104,000 What? $104,000 and $4,000 to Black families. I actually know someone whose dad just passed. The insurance policy was so old that it was for just 6,000. What the? You know what? That says something in here too about that. Let me see. Yep, you're right. You're right. Yep. That same what you just said, Jerry. Yep, it's on page 301. Yet today, Black Americans far removed from slavery and Jim Crow continue to be handed the economic misfortune of their forebears. This is why, as of 2017, white households were twice as likely as Black households to receive inheritance. It says, and when white people inherit money, it's typically 3 times the amount Black beneficiaries get. Yep. And those inheritances help drive the racial wealth gap. And that, I feel like that's what they're trying to do as far as reparations go, because that wealth gap, that should not, man, us Black people in America, we should be having tons of money because our ancestors has built this country. That's all I'm saying. That house that the president's in, I'm sure y'all know who built that. I'm sure y'all know who built Washington, D.C. Okay? I'm just so they just use and abuse, incarcerate us, and kill us is what this pretty much is. This is what this pretty much is. Because it also talks about, let me see. What chapter was it? Because it talks about incarceration as well. Oh, yep. There was this one part. This is on page 278. And I had wrote it down. It says, this reminds me of the movie Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, based off of what they were saying when Black men were incarcerated. It says, Angola is immense, larger than the island of Manhattan, covering land once occupied by plantations where enslaved Black people were forced to labor. Some of our clients had worked in the fields for years while in prison under the supervision of horse riding, shotgun-toting guards who forced them to pick crops, including cotton. It says, and some had records documenting that when they had refused to pick cotton or had failed to pick it fast enough, they had been punished with time in the hole, where food was restricted and inmates were sometimes tear gassed. Still, some Black prisoners, including Matthew, considered the despair of the hole preferable to the unbearable degradation of being forced to pick cotton at the end of the 20th century on the site of a former plantation for enslaved people. And it says, because of disciplinary infractions like this, some of our clients were denied parole, which just with this alone for incarcerating Black people, they're maintaining that racial hierarchy. They are. And even when it comes back to the whole self-defense, I was so sad. Like, I did not know about the story about this one woman, Lena, what was her name? Lena Baker. This is on page 263 to page 264. It says, I'll read it to you. It says, late on the night of April 29th, 1944, while her children were already in bed asleep, he went to Lena Baker's house, demanding that she come with him to his grist mill. She didn't want to go, but he took her anyway. The inevitable sexual violence was delayed, however, because he had promised one of his sons that he would go to church with him, so he locked her inside. When he came back a few hours later on April 30th, he insisted on getting what he wanted. What she wanted, however, was to leave. She went for the door, and Knight pulled out a gun. They struggled over it. It went off, and a single bullet struck Knight in the head. Now, this is when she was attacked and raped repeatedly. And guess what happened to her? Guess what fucking happened to her? It says I skipped. It says the judge sentenced Lena Baker to death, the first and only woman to die in Old Sparky, Georgia's electric chair. Lena Baker's last words were, "What I done, I did in self-defense, or I would have been killed myself." Like, all this adds up. Like, since you don't consider us citizens, since we can't consider it a self-defense, you just do whatever you want with us. This woman should not have been killed. This man, yes, I'm glad she killed him. He was raping her. I don't understand. I don't understand. And sometimes I feel like when we can't even call self-defense against police officers, even though I feel like we should. I feel like we should do that as well. But who am I? Well, I didn't know about the bomb. Didn't the Black people also get arrested even though they were the victims of the massacre? Yes. Some did get arrested. Some were lynched as well. So, yeah. It's just disheartening how we've been putting up a good fight for years and years and years, and now I feel like we're regressing. Like the people that we have, in power are trying to do anything and everything to have us go back to the past. First thing they're trying to do is erase the history and make sure it's not where it's not accessible anywhere for children to learn about it. And so if children don't learn about this, they become ignorant. And next thing you know, history repeats itself all over again because they don't know the history. The dad owned his home outright and he had some savings, so the family's okay, but so many African Americans die without extra assets. I'm starting to realize how important generational wealth is. Yeah, it is. But they make it so hard for black families to have some type of wealth. Because it just feels like for us we're constantly living paycheck to paycheck. And I don't know. The system wasn't created for us. It was to pretty much weaken us and belittle us. Yeah, preschool. Yeah, they invested the ones that they forgot to kill. I'm shaking my head. I wish they discussed the increase in numbers of Black and brown prisoners after the privatization of prisons. Many of these prisons have manufacturing factories. Yeah, they do. From what I know, a lot of things that we have in our stores, I mean, they won't say it on the label, but some of them, like, were picked or whatever. Either it's the food or produce from prisoners. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. Like, how even to this day they don't really look at us as people, and that's disheartening and it's sad. And I don't know what the future holds. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe we should leave, but then again, where would we go? Racism is everywhere, and I don't know. This is where our ancestors were taken, and then this is where we were born. And it's like, if we leave, like, where are we going? Because even if we went to Africa, I mean, we're not really accepted there either, from what I've heard. I think that in Ghana they're welcoming some people, Americans to come live there, but I can't say for the whole continent. I can't, but Ghana, I heard, is taking in people. But I don't know. Like I said, it makes me wonder, like, even with my ancestors and reasonings why they chose to stay instead of leaving. Because I know some had left for Canada, Caribbean. There's a few other places. That just ticked me off. They make money off of us in prisons, predatory payday lending, predatory school loans, mortgage loans, etc. Yes. Which is why, like, we read a couple of chapters where it talks about how where this couple was getting married and they had to check off a box or whatever saying their race. And that's another issue. Why do we, when we apply for stuff, when we sign up for things, why do you have to know my race? Why do I have to check off a box? I'm a person. Why does race have to be involved in every single thing? Just to apply for a loan, school loans, driver's license, whatever it may be. Why is it that we have to state our race? And literally just for that fact alone, why we have to put that on there, just to, like, our race, just so they don't give us as much money for loans or whatever. They're like, if you check that blacklist up, oh well, we're giving them this much. Me and my husband were talking about that. We were like, I wonder if we were to apply for like a loan for a house or whatever, and we did check mark for white, what would they do? Will we get like, I don't know, like, is there a punishment for that? I mean, because I could just say, no, I'm white. Like, do they have, I don't know. Like, why do we have to check off a box of that's one issue with this country. One issue that I have. Why do we have to check off a box stating what our race is? Remember the story earlier in 1619 where the woman killed her owner who repeatedly raped her? It was in the chapter that discussed the sexualization of the black girls. Yes, that too. That too. I remember that, Jura. They used them. They looked at women, black women, as cattle, but then blamed us for them. They blamed the black women. How can I say this? Sorry, y'all. I'm so like upset. I can't put my words together. How is it that they blamed the black women for being raped because their bodies were because they had their butts or whatever? They just for them walking, they like, oh, she must want to. No, I don't know. It's just crazy how, like, back then, white men literally would blame the woman for being raped. And then literally just use them as cattle just so that they could have more babies to work for them and to put in the field. And didn't claim them at all. I mean, shoot, look at George. Not look at him, he's dead. But George Washington, what he did, he had children, never claimed them. That's why it's like, this country is disgusting. We still follow these same doctrines, these same constitutions that were not written for us and that was written by slave owners. I don't get it. We have a dumbass in Florida who is trying to, I think he passed a certain law or something. I forget. It's all over TikTok about immigration or whatever. And if you were immigrant or something like that, you had no rights to something. It's on TikTok. It's some number. I forget the law that he passed it or whatever. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Ron DeSantis' family, weren't they immigrants? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I could have swore that his family were immigrants at one point in time. Hence why their grocery stores are empty, because they're like, oh, so you want to attack immigrants and everything, while we're the ones working to make sure you have food in your grocery stores, making sure you have produce in your grocery stores, make sure that your houses are being built, make sure you have sidewalks in your little communities. Page 278. They needed a law to have a right hand cut off, the head severed from the body divided in 4 quarters, and head and quarters set in the most public places of the county. Oh, yes. This is just sad. I was thinking about you when I was reading about the ex-slaves that were sent to Liberia. Then there was Marcus Garvey in the early 1900s. Now we are trying to go back again. Right. We don't have any place to go. That is why I said that we when you guys figure out where we can be free and safe, DM me. Every community needs a nurse, right? We need a nurse. Like, that's a question. Like, that's a good question. Where would we go? Where do you think we would be welcomed with open arms? We're not even considered Americans in our own country. Shit. We're not considered people in our own country. So I don't know. Sometimes I like rest her soul. I think about Tina Turner and what she did. She denounced her citizenship and she moved to Switzerland. Maybe we should all go to Switzerland. Because Tina loved it there. Maybe we should go there. Shit. I don't freaking know. But I feel like at this point in time, this country needs us. And I feel like if we left, they would be broke. They wouldn't have no type of revenue coming in. Their inheritances that they have, that would be gone in a blink. Be gone in a blink. So sometimes I feel like we definitely, if we left, we would weaken their pockets. We would weaken their pockets, and I wouldn't feel sorry, not one bit. But then again, our ancestors grew up here. They worked their asses off. This is, and I feel like this is our country. And I feel like when I was in college, like one of my professors stated how history repeats itself, which it does. And he always brought up this scenario of, or not a scenario, but he made it as like a fact that one day there is going to be like a civil war again. There is going to be a war on American soil. I feel like we are going through war right now, but I feel like it, how he stated it is going to be like a lot of bloodshed. And like when I was talking to one of my uncles, I haven't talked to him for a long time, and he came up here from Georgia, and he stated like we need to load up on these guns like these white folks. He literally said that, and I'm like, why do you said that? It was because we need them if we're going to win this fight. Because he's a very he's like an activist, and he believes in the Malcolm X perspective of protecting our own, and if shit go left, it is what it is. And he was like, we gotta load up, and I'm like, I shouldn't have to do that. And he was like, well, what has changed with these peaceful protests? Because even when we get things passed, there may be a president that reverses everything, and then we're back to the beginning, back to the board. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. The passage on page 278 where they said that Indy had to make a law to punish enslavers for cutting enslaved people's hands off or their head off or dividing their body into quarters. Yeah. I read. Did I highlight that? I don't think I did. But I am on page 278. Absolutely fucking. And so Carolina made a law that you couldn't cut out someone's tongue or cut out their eye or castrate them. Imagine what they were doing that they needed this law. Yeah. They're sick. They are sick. Who thinks about you know what? That's another discussion. Facts. I didn't know Tina denounced his. Yeah. The last time she was in the US was when she came for her premiere of her documentary. I don't know if it was on Hulu or Netflix. I don't know where it was on, but it was in 2019, the last time she was here. It's our country. Yes, it is our country. It's so what it seems like we have to, man, I don't know. We're going to have to fight really hard for what we want. She loved it, found her a white man and became fluent in German. Yeah, she loved it. Maybe we should go to Switzerland, y'all. She said she moved there because she was happy. She was happiest. She did not like the US at all. Like she performed here, but she mostly did all her tours and everything in Europe. She hated the US. Some people didn't even like her music in the US, which is why she went to Europe, where they loved her. And that goes to show, like, if you had a lot of people leave the US to go to Europe, to go, to go to France or whatever. So you did have that. You had a lot of performers go to France and stuff because they were well treated there. It's good for Tina. Leaving and not denouncing, you still have to file taxes. And Tina said, "Look, the U.S. just because our ancestors built it doesn't mean we need to continue investing in it." My husband feels like your uncle. Oh, yeah, my uncle feels like it's not. There's enough talking. There needs to be more doing, and that means violence for him. And but even with my professor, he stated there's going to be blood loss. There's going to be bloodshed. Um, and he felt that way. He felt like in order to get shit done, in order to make things how they need to be, in order to proclaim the land that we deserve, the money that we deserve, the treatment we deserve, there has to be reckoning. Like I said on one of Courtney's friends, I need to get a passport and a white husband in Europe. I'll go to Europe, but then again, it's like, man, if I moved, let's say I might move to Switzerland, shit, but it would be a nice, quaint house where I lived how I wanted to live. I didn't have to constantly worry about bills all the fucking time. That's another freaking that doesn't make sense with this country of how, like, I just can't. I can't. I just want to live my life in peace. I don't want to have to worry about my children walking down the street one day and then next thing you know, they're gone. They're not with me anymore. I think about it all the time. I think about my daughter, I think about my two sons and what their future is going to look like. And I feel like it's up to me and my family where we need to go from here. And I can only speak for my family. It just seems like I feel like at this point in the next couple of years, I'm going to see how this country looks, what it looks like. And if I don't see my children living happily in this country, I don't know. There might be decisions I need to make. I don't know. I don't know. And for the entire country to pass a law for reparations, I don't know if it's really going to happen. I don't know. I honestly do not know because they don't want us to win. When we win, they burn our shit down. And that is a fact. That is a fact. When we are winning, they find ways to fuck us over. Yeah. Y'all, I really don't want a white husband. I don't even want a husband. You don't need a husband. You don't. If you don't want one, you don't want one. Mm-mm. We just want to live a happy life where we don't have to worry about things like just just walking in a park, minding our own business, and somebody falsely accuses us of something that we never did. Can't stand it. I recommend reading Solitary by Alfred Woodfox and The Black History of the White House by Clarence Bluson. Both books are very eye-opening. Hold on. Where's my paper at? Sorry, I'm trying to get my paper so I can write that down. I think it fell underneath the desk. Oh, come on. It has all my books on here that I need to read. Hold on. All right, here we go. Thank you. So, yeah, Solitary by Alfred Woodfox. Shoot, I need to get these books. Who knows if they're going to exist anymore? Shit, who freaking knows? Like this book, 1619 Project. In a few years, I don't even know if it'll be on shelves throughout the country. How everything's looking right now. Black History of the White House. by Clarence Hussein. Okay, thank you. Police sees it will be my first swirl. Free health insurance, free education, and safety. It might be time to Ben and Jerry Choco Vanilla of my life. Oh man. Thanks for the Rex. Yes, thank you. No problem. F this country, rather rather for us to dip and let the country suffer. They don't deserve the BIPOC community. They don't. And if we and they can't survive without us. That's another thing. They can't. Literally, they brought our ancestors over here because they couldn't do shit on their own. They had to use and abuse people to get their wealth. They didn't get their wealth honestly with hard work and dedication like we have to do. No, they they went the other route, the cruel route of using people to do all their dirty work and all their work. I mean, look at what the royal family has done to the look at the world. And the things that the royal family has done, they're still destroying countries as we speak. That's why when Queen Elizabeth died, everybody wasn't sad. They weren't sad about it. A lot of countries were celebrating. Like I think it was either you, Bree, or Adrian that mentioned the TikToks or whatever. Like, and they were celebrating her death because of everything that the royal family has done. It's scary how they're doing these books and these laws, right? It is scary. And just for Amanda Gorman's book, the Hill We Climb, how there was one, it's been circulating all over the place, how it was a complaint from a parent or something, but they didn't even write the correct author on there. They said it was by Oprah Winfrey. I'm like, okay, I'm done. All the books that they're banning, they don't know what the books are about. They don't. Not one clue. They're just like, oh, it's about, oh, it has this picture on it. Oh, if it's about this particular, has this certain word in it. Oh, it needs to be banned. Like, what the heck? I don't understand this country. I don't. And it bothers me how all we want is to just live our lives happily. We don't want to bother nobody, but we want what we deserve to. I'm too old to contemplate the swirl. Back in my 20s, I had more of an open mind. In 2023, it's going to take a very progressive white man to take my daily rants and raves on the world. Thanks for recommendations. I want to check out these regs. Thanks. Yes. Holy shit, they just released how much UK spent on the burial of the Queen. It was outrageous. Don't tell me how much. Don't tell me how much. Don't tell me how much. And we think, look at poverty. Look at there's so many homeless people on these streets, and they say we're the richest country. There shouldn't be any homeless. There shouldn't be poverty. I shouldn't see any homeless people. Period. I shouldn't. What do we gain by saying I just truly don't care in USA, and if I get an opportunity to dip, I will. Let me live happily with the book I want to read. Right. But that's another thing. They're making sure, like the books we can't. They're trying to make sure we don't have access to these certain books. Like even in other countries, like it's very difficult to have access to books too. I think about leaving, but I know my kids don't want to go. Yeah. It would be if my husband and I left, or if we wanted to leave, I wouldn't want my entire family to leave with us. That includes my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law, my nieces, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, all them. Like we will all be leaving. it couldn't just be my husband and I and our kids. We would all like my whole family would have to like be in agreement to leave if we fully like went like, yeah, we fucking leave it. Yeah, same. But maybe retirement. Come over to visit me. At least he's come over to visit me and Gunther in Europe. You might get surprised. Just have Gunther adopt me. I hear the queen was buried with all of her jewels stolen from other countries. That's another thing. Oh my god, it's another issue that I have. When are these people, these royals, and are this government, this U.S. government, going to right their wrongs? I would love to see the day. I would love to see it. I would love to. And then I feel like reparations should definitely happen because of the trauma that families have gone through, the generational trauma. And that mentions that in the last chapter of Inheritance. And how like that reparations should be a thing. And like I'll read this last one. It's on page 304 to 305. It says, how might the family's trajectory have been different if Elmer Bowling had never been murdered? It's impossible to know, of course, but there's no doubt that Elmer's descendants would have enjoyed greater stability if his businesses had been allowed to grow and to be passed down to his children, who might have built on his successes and passed their own on to their own children. It says, he had established himself as a wealthy man, McCall says, but I grew up poor. Sometimes I've wondered what my life could have been had he lived. Looking back on her family's winding path, she can't help but dwell on her father's strenuous efforts to create prosperity for the family and how they were undermined. Every time we take a step up, she said, there's someone trying to crush it. And this is the true statement. And so now I'm wondering, who is willing to fight for us? Who has power? Because apparently we need the person that is going to help us have to have some type of power. But then again, as people, we have power, but we need to come together as a community and shut this shit down. But a lot of people are hard-headed. But then again, even with our own community, we are divided because of everything that has happened in the past with this country and how they have divided us and make us not like one another. Like psychologically, they have also done that to us. So I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for us. This book is deep. I'm glad that we're reading it because it's some of the information I did not know about. And it opened my eyes to so many different things. When it gives you numbers, when it gives you different comparisons, when it gives you examples of certain things, it's an eye opener, for sure, an eye opener. Lacey's, no, I'm not going to be taking these thrusts for the community. You got to get your own. Oh hell no. Wow, unbelievable. I will wait for Harry to half-ass explain this in book 2. Oh Lord. What else is he gonna put in his books? He pretty much said everything in book 1. So what else is he gonna put in book 2? Is book 2 gonna be about when he was pretty much booed at his father's coronation? Is he gonna put that in his book? I'm thinking to myself, what else do you got, bro, that you want to talk about? You pretty much said everything you had to say in the first one. Your little strolls in Africa like you own the place. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about Harry, y'all. The bullying story was so sad. It was sad, and it devastated me because it's not the only family that has went through this. Like ever since their father's death, the whole family has been pretty much traumatized, and the loss of their businesses was just sad. It talks about some of the family who had passed on, and all that. It's sad. This book is very deep. I don't think I could have read this before. I couldn't take it. Right. You read Spare? Yeah, I read Spare. He should have spared me with that nonsense. I don't understand. I don't know. I He has a lot of growing up to do. I don't know how old he is, but that book, it had me like, bro, like, what is this? Half of the stuff we already know. The things you said, it, and then you had this rant about your penis randomly in the book. I'm like, I don't understand. I didn't like the book, obviously. Like, I I did not. And I will not. I don't even think I will invest my time in whatever other books he's got going on, because it's going to be the same stuff over and over again. Like, literally, when a man says, "I don't understand why my wife gets all this backlash or whatever," first, she doesn't even look black, and I'm like, you're so ignorant, so ignorant. But then again, Megan, I don't know where her head is. I might, if Megan writes a book, I might invest in it, because I want to get in her head of her way of thinking, because she doesn't identify herself as black. So I want to get a better understanding of where she's coming from. I'm trying to give her a chance. The Bowlings are a clear-cut case for the empowerment of black families. However, these are the same people who are anti-abortion but want mothers off of. Well, nothing makes sense in this country at all. We all read Spare. I haven't read it yet. Got it on hold at the library. Yep, go ahead. If you want to get it, go get it from your library. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Yeah, we all read it like it was a Brandy book club pick. Then we returned our books. We sure did. I made sure I kept my receipt and everything. I returned it. I'm like, nope, this cannot be on my shelves. Spare was a complete DNF. I hate privilege as books personally. I didn't get the whole. It wasn't necessary for him to have a book, and then he has the audacity to have a 4 or 5 book deal or something. I'm like, so what else he gonna write? What else? I'm like, he was talking about how they were pretty much kicked out or whatever. And the thing is, his family it's run as a family business, and if you don't comply with that family business, you get cut off. And it's weird that Tyler Perry helped them get out, and so Oprah is one of their neighbors now, and for their daughter, the they had their Tyler Perry is the godfather. I found that very odd. And then I don't know, and then how he that's his grandmother, he's gonna love her or whatever. But then I'm like, do you look at the bigger picture? And like Megan, like, she was just fine. But do you know what they have done and what they're still doing? Like, okay, so like, scenario, if not necessarily Harry, but someone in the royal family, and we're like, oh, I probably would never date him, period. But let's say that I did. I would not be comfortable probably being with him. Let's just keep it 100. Because of the past of his family. I'm sorry. I know I wouldn't be accepted into the family anyway, because I'm black. but I don't know. I'm thinking in my head, Megan, what were you thinking? Like, you thought like you was gonna go in there, nobody was gonna say shit. Like, they just gonna say welcome, Megan, and just give you a nice little hug, and everything's gonna be all good. No, it's not. He put that in the book. She doesn't even look black. Yeah. He even said that in an interview. it was the day before the book came out. And he said that in an interview. I'm like, oh, all right, that's the type of book we're getting. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely reading Spare 2. I can't miss the train wreck Clueless, Wealthy Royals amuse me. I'm just like, well, when you put it that way, maybe for amusement, but I will get it from the library if anything. I am not wasting my money on it. I will gladly wait for it at the library because it's not. I, I'm still trying to figure out what he's gonna write about. I wouldn't be comfortable, but I would lose weight. They don't season their food. I don't. Oh God, not season their food. Man, I would be like, oh, I'd be just if I was Megan. No, I could never be Megan. Scratch that. If I was in Megan's position and I'm eating dinner and I'm tasting their food, I'd be. I'll probably eat and be like, oh, I'm just. I ate a little bit. I'm already full. And then when everybody's asleep, I go in the kitchen and see what they got, and I'm like, they don't got no damn hot sauce. Okay, I'll be probably going out of the palace and get my own food. Shit, man, get some salt, some something, some salt and pepper will go a long way. I don't know. I still want them to win, but they have a lot of growth. They do, and I feel like, and they make it seem like they don't got money when they left. They have money. They're not poor. They're not broke. Hello, y'all are neighbors to Oprah. Y'all got money, and it made from how they made it seem, it's like they had no money at all, like nothing. It was just everything was taken from them. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all have the audacity to say that everything was taken from you, like the cottages and all the homes that was taken away from you. But think about what's happened to us as Black people in America. That all that was taken from us, and we didn't have a dime or nothing to our name. We had to start from the beginning. You got money, so stop acting like you don't. That's all I gotta say. I thought their wedding was pretty blackety black pastor, spirituals, gospel. I loved watching those princesses cringing in the audience. It was great. Mm-mm-mm. Well, the house they're living in is Tyler Perry's. Okay, so it's Tyler Perry's, but they're claiming it as their own, so to speak. But they're not broke. He got something. He got something. But who knows? His dad is now the king. So who knows what his dad has done now? Who knows? Who knows? That might be some tea I would like to know. That's why they feel like they own him so much. He got them out. He gave them security and the house. Yeah. Shoot. That's nice to be given a mansion. Yep. Why does he like them so much? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Megan knew what she was doing. She is living way larger than she did with that suits check. Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, oh, sometimes who had before Harry? Who did she date? Let me see. Who did she date before Harry? I'm curious. Uh, oh nope, I don't want you to play that. Nope, nope, nope. Um, mm, let me see. That's why I want her to write a book because I don't even know. Um, it's Corey. Somebody Corey Vitello, I guess. Oh, wow, yeah, he looks like Harry. Like, hold on, just stop. Yeah, she has her type. So this was her ex before Harry. Like, if you have a closer look. So I mean, she has a type. Tyler Perry. Why does he like them so? I don't know. I think he just felt bad for them. I don't know. I'm like, Tyler, how do you have connections with them? Like, why did you? Why? I don't know. Some white dude. That I'm not sure about. Tyler Perry helps a lot of people out in secret. An actor. Interesting. Yeah. She was married, I think, a couple of times. I didn't even know her until she started dating Harry. Yeah. Tyler Perry is Captain Save-A-Ho. He also flew out Bobby Christina after Whitney died. He just couldn't save her. Oh. I will say he's kind-hearted. And Tyler Perry's a man that was homeless and lived in his car, and now look where he is. He built himself all the way to the ground up. You know? But all right. We're going to end this discussion because I actually want to do some reading sprints. So I'm about to get that scheduled. If you want to hop on to the reading sprints, you can. Bree, Adrienne, I will send y'all the link as always. You can join me, or if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. But I will definitely, we're going to end this and we'll have some reading sprints tonight. Wow. Tyler Perry had reached out to her before she got married. I think they called him from Canada when they needed a place to stay. 90. Oh God. All right, y'all. So I'm about to make another link for reading sprints. Y'all see me in the next couple minutes. Y'all, if y'all get the notification, I think y'all see me. So okay, see you in a few. Thank you for the discussion. Thank you all for coming to this discussion. This has been a great discussion. We have our next discussion next month. And we're going to be talking about chapters 12 through 15. So that's the next chapters we're going to read. And then we're going to have that discussion later on next month. It's always the last Friday of each month. So, and it's always going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ordering food and coming to sprints. Okay. Thank you, Brandy. I'm happy you're doing this slow read. Yes, I'm happy too. Thank you so much because it was about time. And even though it's hard to read, it's definitely something that I personally just will always be aware of. Like all the facts that they're giving us, I didn't know, and I'm glad that I'm learning about it. But I will see y'all in a few. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.